This week on Supercars Torque, crashes, safety cars, Anton winning, and Whincup takes the overall. Well, before we get into the drama of the weekend, a couple of little housekeeping things to take care of. I'm not sure if they've been doing this all year, but I just noticed it this weekend, possibly because it hasn't been something that's been pissing me off all year. They're not showing the track map while the cars are on the track. So this has been a complaint of mine for quite a while. What we generally see happen, they would do all the chit-chat before the session, blah, blah, blah. They show the cars in pit lane on that long shot. All the cars would start driving out of the pit lane, just kind of get onto track. And then we go and spend a minute or whatever running through the track map and all of these corners and what speed the cars do on that corner and things like that. And when you were watching all of the sessions during the weekend, you'd see this track map about what felt like 50 odd times. So it was quite frustrating, especially in a short 10-minute qualifying session, that they'd chew up a good minute of that session, on showing what the track map is, which in general, we all know what the tracks look like, or, maybe show one early on in the weekend or one before the race. Anyway, that has been a big complaint of mine. I did notice on the weekend that they were showing that before the cars got onto track. As I said, not sure if this has been happening all year or if it is just something that's happened this weekend. But it's one of those things, I think when they do it this way, you don't notice it. Whereas if they do it, cars go on track and then they cut away to, this pre-recorded track map thing, it is something that pisses you off. So that's a nice change. My second little bit of housekeeping for the week is a complaint that is going to continue, I think, for the foreseeable future. Top 15 shootout, still boring as batshit. We don't need it. Just either do a whole field shootout, or if we've got to have a shootout, do a top 10 shootout. It's just ridiculous. And I remember sitting there watching the start of Saturday's race, going, I think it was Heimgartner. Why is Heimgartner so far? But he was in the shoot, and then you're like, oh yeah, most of the field's in the shootout. So if you don't do so well in the shootout, you're basically at the back of the grid anyway. So, let's get rid of these top 15 shootouts. Either way, have everyone do the shootout lap, or go, if we have to have a shootout, let's have a top 10. Let's make it interesting. Let's make it a top 5 shootout. And in the knockouts, we knock out 10 in each session. That would make it a lot more interesting, because pretty much the 4 that are going to get knocked out in the first session. You kind of know the 4 that are going to get knocked out in the next session. It's not like it's, rocket science and these guys that are getting knocked out. Let's make it interesting, Let's not have every now and again you get a, Whincup or someone just scraping in 18th in the first session because, they're like, oh, well, we'll go out and we got this easy, whatever we do, because it's the normal guys at the back that are going to get knocked out. Let's make it interesting so that you only get 15 that go through to the second session, so a heap of guys get knocked out. Let's spice it up a little bit. Like, this year's the year to spice it up, try some things, and we seem to be falling into this rut of boredom with the top 15's qualifying shootout. On to the racing on Saturday. Now, I got excited because we haven't seen a car in the wall. I'm struggling to even remember if there was any big damage in Adelaide. But during the practice session, we did see Whincup and then Courtney hit the wall in practice. Probably not the best for the teams that are the furthest away from home that they're probably going to be all year, and especially the Victorian teams. It's going to be definitely hard to get some spares. But I thought, hey, at least I got something to talk about from today. Then, at the start of the race, Shane van Gisbergen put his brain into Ingle gear and just unloaded Nick Percat, which then put him straight into the side of Todd Hazelwood. And trashed two BJR cars on the spot. So, as I was saying before, not great for especially the Victorian teams, which, basically BJR fits into that Victorian team category that's far away from home, makes it harder for them to get spares and everything like that. And then to make matters worse, Macca decided to, unload himself into the wall. When I saw where the car was parked, I thought, whose fault is this? And no, it was his own fault. A little bit interesting there, the BJR dynamic, because definitely at the start of the year, I'll put my hand up, I'm one of the ones guilty of this. I thought Jack Smith was going to be on the back row, making those Techno Team Sydney cars look good all year, and I think a lot of people had the same opinion. He's actually quite impressed me because he's either kind of been running with Macca or better in some races. He's probably actually had a bit better run, hasn't kind of made silly mistakes like that. And Macca came in after doing all right in Super 2 and things like that, whereas Jack Smith didn't have those results or anything from Super 2. He didn't look like he was doing a great job there, made the step up. But he, he's, from what he's done, he's not going to challenge up the front of the field or anything. But, he's a mid-pack kind of driver. The only caveat on that is I'm not sure if all the Brad Jones racing cars are run to the same spec. And I do wonder if maybe Jack Smith's car is a bit closer to, say, the Percat and Hazelwood cars, and maybe Macca's car is on a less budget and not quite the same spec. Would be interesting to know if there's any truth to that. But anyway, Van Gisbergen's brain into Ingle gear, and, I'll defend Shane a lot. Because he, sometimes he will punt someone off, but he'll come and say sorry, or, he'll maybe, do a bump and run and then let him back through and things like that. Sometimes his brain just kind of disappears and he makes a move like that. And you just wonder, he's a series champion that's, if he didn't get himself involved in things like this, maybe he might be a 2 or 3-time champion by now rather than just having the single championship. The next incident I want to talk about was the LeBrock-Kelly-Kostecki crash. So when I initially saw this, I went, okay, LeBrock's run Kelly off. I retract that now. They did interlock wheels, so off the original kind of camera angle, it looked more like LeBrock had just kind of run Kelly off the track and, done and dusted there. They did actually interlock wheels, so I think that was more a racing incident than anyone's fault. Then Kelly was coming back onto the track and Kostecki came across and Kostecki ended up in the wall. Now, Kelly ended up getting a 15-second drive-through penalty. He got a drive-through, the same as Shane Van Gisbergen's penalty for this incident. Kelly should have been a bit safer coming back onto the track. Kostecki would have seen Kelly coming back on and yet still took the ultimate racing line. If it was me, you've got two options here being, Jake. You can either be right or you can not trash the car. Now, in his position, I would have just gone a little bit wider and avoided Kelly. And then you don't have a trashed car. Okay, maybe you don't prove that Kelly punted you off because he didn't come on safely, but you also don't have a trashed car. If if it was a McLaughlin, a Whincup situation there, maybe I might, and I'll get into some of that later when I talk about tomorrow's race, but maybe they're playing for sheep stations. Kostecki, on the other hand, he's trying to gain, he needs to build up his knowledge. The more track time, the better. The more racing he gets, the better. The less destroyed cars with that team, the better, because they haven't got the budget to fix them. There's certain drivers out there, like, do you want to be in it's hard for me to say, but, the kind of the normal Van Gisbergen where, you think about the long game, or do you want to be in that kind of, Coulthard, Jacobson kind of, let's get involved in every incident that we can possibly find. It's all right if you're driving for Penske or Triple Eight to get involved in incidents. They got the resources to fix them. If you're in a Matt Stone car, maybe not. Anyway, it's all Kelly's fault, so whatever. Whatever I say trying to stick up for him, everyone's going to jump on me and say it was 100% Kelly's fault because Kelly one time beat Lowndes to a championship, so we're all still butthurt about that. Because this was such an incident-filled race, then we had Whincup getting released into the side of Anton during the pit stops. Unsafe release, got his 15-second penalty. Pretty cut and dry, that one, because he ploughed right into the side of him. No questions there. And then Scott McLaughlin also got a 15-second time penalty because he overtook Courtney before the control line after the safety car. There was a little bit of, because I think everyone anticipated Anton going earlier than he did. Not going to say much about that because we've already spoken a lot about this race. In the end, Anton, Courtney and Pye were the podium getters. They'd all run soft tyres. Pye ran hard and then soft. Winterbottom in fourth had gone the other way. He ran soft and hard. And some idiot put out a video last week saying that Team 18 would never beat Triple Eight. And then here we are. It is a one-off thing. It's not going to happen all season. But I just thought, here we go. You were the idiot who put it out there that said that this is never going to happen. And then bang, straight away they did. Pither, an amazing fifth. That was all soft tyre assisted. So all their eggs in that basket. And of the main protagonists, one thing though, Mostert, who started 20th after his tail shaft broke during qualifying, he got himself up to 7th and he only ran hards. So that was, quite an impressive drive through the field. Would have been interesting if he'd, started up the front, where he probably would finish 6th. And then Whincup was 17th, McLaughlin 20th, and Shane Van Gisbergen actually got himself back up to 11th. So it was a good day for him. Interestingly enough, after the second safety car, Jack Smith chucked on some softs to charge through from last. He did end up 12th at the finish, but I thought that was, an interesting thing because you're essentially... You're not really anywhere, and then you've destroyed your softs for the next day. I just thought that was an interesting one. It wasn't like, there was a heap of them pulling in and doing the same thing. So, it just seemed like a big risk there for little reward, which, 12th in this day and age, it's not much reward. On to Sunday, and everything died back down, and we had a relatively normal for 2020 kind of race. Not much to talk about except for the Coulthard incidents. Probably could have won the first race on Sunday, except when Scotty was coming out of the pits, he seemed to get scared of getting too close to the lead car and speared off at turn 1. Not sure what happened there, whether he was going for a big dive that didn't come off or he did actually get scared that he might have got in the lead and possibly won a race. That race, so little happened that when Hazelwood was pathing Pither. Hazelwood was I can't say it now. Todd Hazelwood was trying to pass Chris Pither, there we go. This was for 20th place, and we seem to get about 15 replays of it. So, not too much happened on Sunday. McLaughlin won that race, and then we had the second race on Sunday, which the big talking point is, of course, Whincup got released into Fabian Coulthard. Now, in this situation, like as I said before, Kostecki should have avoided the incident. Coulthard, you are the lamb. You crash into Whincup if he's being unsafely released, and then he gets a penalty. Instead, Coulthard stops in the pit lane and says, "Oh, here you go, Whincup, go freely." Like, no, okay, there's health and safety things, Coulthard did the right thing, blah, blah, blah. But in the spirit of competition, no, you do not. Your biggest competitor that you're going for the championship and the team's championship and all of that kind of stuff, you don't go, "Here you go past, have fun, go and win the race, take the round win off me." Like, no. Crash. Job's done. He gets his unsafe release or whatever, or his car gets damaged or whatever happens. But there's no question about it. Instead, at the end of the race, "Oh, he cut me off in the pits." Well, it's too late by then. Like, there wasn't an accident, so it wasn't unsafe. So what's Beardo going to do? Like, have the Mostert Kelly in the pits at Adelaide last year, block the whole pit lane, whatever. Prove that someone did something stupid. Like, that was also 2 unsafe releases from Triple Eight in 2 days on Jamie Whincup's car. Very unlike them. Plus, I won't get into it, but they got some penalties for some other stupid little mistakes they made in the pits. Who knows if the guys are tired or what. On a good note, though, how good would, I enjoyed watching Jamie back it into the wall. But then how good was it? He gets on the tools and whatever and helps the guys, fix the car and things like that. That's great. And this is, unfortunately, Jamie gets in front of the cameras and its persona just is Lewis Hamilton-like, nearly. You want to punch him in the face. And then you see this other side of Jamie where, he's helping the guys, all the pit crew or whatever, fixing the car. And you see things like he bought that old car of his, the one he calls Kate, that he won, 15 championships or whatever with. And he rebuilds that, and then he goes and gets his truck license and drives the truck so he can take the car to his house and things like that. This is what I find so hard with Jamie, is that he actually seems to have this personality, and you see all these little bits and you're like, this is actually someone you could, invite around and have a beer with. But then he gets in front of the camera like normal, and he seems like this guy you want to, punch in the face. Well, that's the way to me. And I'm like, why can't you show this kind of to the cameras? He really just, I'm very torn with Whincup. Anyway, could go on about that all day. We'll leave it at that. Coulthard should have crashed into him. So anyway, that's my take on that. Big question. I was surprised at how long everyone could run on the softs. So we're going to find that next weekend, everyone running around on softs that are going to stay good for the whole race. I'm not holding my breath for the racing next weekend. Anyway, might turn out to be a belter. Who knows? So Anton tried to run his knackered softs that he'd been running all of Saturday's race and all of the first race on Sunday. Tried to run them all of the third race on Sunday as well. And he finished 23rd and last. And last because Alex Davison was a few laps down because Techno Team Sydney. Why didn't he put on some hard tyres and see what happened? I mean, you're running around, you've got no pace. Why? You got brand new hards there that wouldn't have been used, so why not bolt them on and see what happens? So anyway, the overall for the weekend, Whincup and Fabian ended up on the same points because Whincup won one of the races. He gets to win the trophy, which now apparently we're calling this one a round, so he gets the triple crown. really kind of cheapens that Triple Crown thing that, no one won until last year, and now all of a sudden we're just giving it away every time. Scott McLaughlin was third and Shane Van Gisbergen fourth. So, all of this, if the tyre thing's going to wreck everything. Well, it was Triple Eight, Penske, Triple Eight, Penske, Triple Eight, and then Chaz in fifth. So, the guys who were going to be up the front anyway, pretty much. Championship-wise, Scott McLaughlin is still our leader. No surprises there. Jamie's 101 points behind. Surprisingly, Chaz is third, 210 behind. Then we got Van Gisbergen, Dave and Waters that are all pretty close, around the high 200s off. And then the guys who are starting to, get out of contention, Frosty, Percat, Fabs and Lee Holdsworth is still in the 10, over 300 behind a whole weekend. So anyway, that's my review. There was a lot to cover this weekend. Who knows what's going to happen this weekend? Do you agree with my summaries of the incidents? Do you think Fabian should crash into Whincup in the pits, or are you on the side of occupational health and safety, or should you not crash into Whincup because it's Whincup? Do you think, because I don't like Percat, Shane Van Gisbergen, 2 thumbs up. I was quite sad because, me and Percat go way back. Was Kelly in the wrong? Yes, he was, but was he? Let me know what you think in the comments, or Supercars Torque at Gmail. We have racing again this weekend, so big thumbs up for that. I'm happy. We got racing for days and days and days, which is awesome because in Victoria, not allowed to go anywhere. So gives something to do on the weekends. Until next time, I'll see you later.